Robin Sachs is with us right now. Now, she spoke with a decorated Los Angeles police officer about Christopher Dorner and the problems with the LAPD. Let's put this thing in context. The officer you spoke with, and we're going to hear more from him on your special, but...
No, we're not going to hear from him in special. We're hearing from him here.
Oh, here?
This is for you, Steve, because I'm so happy to see you, by the way.
Thank you. This is an officer who filed for discrimination and won a considerable amount of money from the police department because he claims he was discriminated against, and he is a white officer discriminated against. So
let me give you some setup here and
yes.
bring you back for a second. Yes. So, you know, we've been talking all about these police officers, and a lot of people have been reaching out, and over at KFI, they've been sending me different emails and so forth, and I received a copy of an email that Paul Waymire, who is a highly, highly decorated officer, 24 years on the force, had sent over to Bill Carroll and said, basically, get this Dorner guy off the street so my fellow officers can be safe. He loves the department. And then he goes on to then say, but let me tell you about what's going on in the department. And so he then, so I do the quick little Google search on Paul Waymire, and I see, oh my goodness, here is
he won the Ultimate Hero Award in this state, right?
That's right, he did. He got $125,000. Well, he's that's right. Yeah, that's right. He did. He won the Medal of Valor for saving a kid out of a college kid out of a
burning car, which blew up right after he and his partner pulled the kid out.
That's right. And so you see video of him on all these shows and what have you, and then you see that there was a lawsuit that he had actually filed, and you're going, huh, what's going on here? And I start looking into the lawsuit and realize, okay, this is a Caucasian, a white guy who sues the department for being passed up on promotion after promotion after promotion for discrimination by a Latino member of the brass. And he actually files a lawsuit and wins. And so then it prompts me to get in touch with Officer Waymire, and we start talking, and I met with him yesterday. We won't go to some of the sounds in a minute, but then he tells me that he gets passed up, wins a lawsuit. He's found responsible, guilty of discrimination. Officer Villegas, or actually Sergeant Villegas at the time.
His supervisor, who did not promote him, he claims because he was white.
Right.
Okay.
And what happens to Villegas? Villegas gets promoted 2 weeks later, and to this day, Waymire, who still has tried to promote and promote and promote, has not been able to promote, and he's been told, and we've heard, that it was because of Villegas still again. And actually there is now another lawsuit. And so, which is interesting because I've spoken to a lot of different officers in the course of the last week, and everyone on our special was terrified to go on air, to be seen. LAPD's going to get me. They know who I am if they come get me. Yet Waymire comes in yesterday and says, I'm willing to speak on camera.
And he's an active officer.
He's an active officer. He's actually had some medical stuff, but he's going back to work in a couple of months in April, and highly respected amongst his peers. He's a training officer, and so he and I had an opportunity to talk about, you know, what he knows about the department, and he said to me that he actually, a bunch of guys were talking about Dorner several years back because it was, you know, it gets around the rumor mill that someone is getting fired. So this is what he said.
And I remember saying to the group immediately, well, nothing will happen to her. He needs to watch his back. And unbeknownst to me, that turned out to be Dorner many years later. But that was the incident. And I knew he was destined to fail based on what I had heard.
So he talks about what it was like, and he referred to the brass as going against the machine. And there's a lot of talk that we spoke about what happens to an officer who wants to file a complaint. We talked about retaliation, racism a little bit, but more we spoke about retaliation. And he said basically anybody who goes up against the machine is destined to fail. And he knew that Dorner had not a chance in hell to have succeeded in his Board of Rights. And so I asked him, I said to him, so what kind of advice would you give to an officer if they wanted to go report it? And this is what he said.
If the department wants you, if they want to fire you, they're going to fire you. All these captains, commanders, command staff, they all know each other. It's a captain that's bringing these charges up against you, typically. It's a captain that's sitting on the board who's possibly friends with this other captain that brought the charges against you. It's a stacked deck against you, and you have no chance of beating that machine. And it's been like that for years, and nothing's changed.
And yet, as I listen to this, which is disturbing to hear, but the police department has also paid millions and millions of dollars to officers who have won discrimination cases.
They have
millions and millions.
Actually, I did a research of that over the weekend and looked at all the millions and millions of dollars and how many times actually you end up having awards to officers in the civil courts, yet they've been fired through the Board of Rights.
And one of the complaints, I want to reiterate so it's clear, that those who they claim discriminated against them, they still go up the ranks because they're part of the blue crew in this sense, and the ones who are the whistleblowers never get promoted.
That's right, and it's interesting. We talked about some of the reputations of some of the officers, and we spoke about Sergeant Evans, who is obviously the training officer that Dorner had the beef with, and we spoke about these types of things, and he said he knew that there was no way that if it was Evans versus Dorner, that Dorner was ever going to win. She had many, many, many more years on the force. She was friends with these people, and she had the, being able to claim the female minority aspect. So there wasn't going to be an issue there. But so I asked him, what do we need to do to make the system fair? And this is what he said.
We need to get some type of civilian entity involved in the disciplinary process. Somebody that has absolutely nothing to gain or lose by the outcome of the procedure of the Board of Rights, and that way it would take that element away from the Board of Rights. These captains helping captains, these commanders helping captains, looking out for each other. There's, that management clique that's in there, they will ensure that whatever they want to happen happens.
So I asked Officer Waymire, I said, so if I called LAPD, what would they say about you right now? And he said, they would say to you that I'm disgruntled. And he said to me, I love LAPD. I love the department. I love the people. I still love it despite all of this. What I hear is true, but overall it's a great agency.
All right, before you go, the tragedy with Dorner, I mean, again, make it clear, nobody excuses his behavior and his killing people. But it
Most of all Waymire, by the way.
It does open up this Pandora's box that is now open, because the people who have beefs against the LAPD, you're hearing from them all the time. That's now in the focus. It's in the headlines.
It is in the headlines, and I'm trying to get perspective because I still don't know, is this a little problem in a big agency or a big problem in a little agency? I'm trying to get, you hear people identifying with Dorner, and that's, oh my God, shocking, but yet I don't know quite what the numbers are, but I'm going through it, and we're going to have way more of this tonight.
All right, Robin, thank you. The special is
tonight, 10:30 p.m. I'm with Phil Schuman, and we're hashing out what's going on in LAPD.
True crime special. Thank you.